Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the Crubcast. My name is Kevin, also known as the Golden Bolt, and I'm here with four of my fellow wonderful co-crubbers. To my direction that I'm not sure of, I have that Trav guy here on the video feed. He's also here in the audio feed, as you could hear by the things falling down everywhere. Hi, Trav.
Good morning.
Hi, it is 4 p.m. We're also here with Chris Mykonos fan.
4:40. Hi, what's up?
4:40. We started this at 4, and then everything's gone wrong. We're here with famous, so famous, the Twitch streamer JTart9. It's in the name.
That's me.
And we're here with, he stopped dancing, so I'm not going to introduce him.
Whatever, dude.
That is the luscious voice of known musician All Hail Buckets. Hi, Nico.
Known.
Well, because I couldn't say famous
From
twice.
his greatest hits.
No,
I couldn't say
it's
famous twice in a row.
Deathloop, $20 game.
That's me. I sang that.
Known is
No,
so accurate.
that's Buckets now.
And actually, it was Justin who sang that song.
I also came up with all the
I know.
lyrics.
My hit was Adam Sandler should be Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, what
which is
should
what
he
we're
be?
here to talk about today.
It is.
As the title of this video/audio podcast says, this is going to be a spoiler cast for Spider-Man 2, the new game from Marvel, not the movie from Sam Raimi. Probably also that one too. Anything Spider-Man, probably going to be
Or
spoiled
the 2012 movie Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Please
today.
no. Anything but that one.
So if you haven't played Spider-Man 2, this is coming out about 3 weeks after the game has dropped, so feel free to come back later. Subscribe to the YouTube if you want to see the video version. Go to crub.org for the audio version. All of that fun stuff. We've all beaten Spider-Man 2. We've all, I think, 100%ed Spider-Man 2, actually.
Yes.
So we all have a lot of
I did not platinum it.
fun thoughts.
I did the same thing, Trav.
There's like 4 trophies that aren't based on doing everything. You just got to punch
Yeah,
things.
but as soon as I was done with it, I was like, I'm done.
That's fair. But what about the e-peen? What about
It's
your
not.
score?
I didn't play on my account, so I don't care.
That's
Fair. You're not going to get it for somebody else.
I borrowed a family member's PS5 to play it.
All right, you're still on the team.
Let's open with the general takeaways, I guess, and then we'll break down the spoilers. This is not going to be spoiler light even in the general breakaways, so if you have not finished Spider-Man 2, come back later. We don't want you here now. Finish the game.
It's probably fair to say we'll also spoil one, and if you skipped Miles Morales for some reason, that one also.
Yes.
Yes.
That should probably go without saying, but that's a good catch.
Yeah.
So, Justin, let's start with you. What did you think about this game?
I thought it was really good. It's pretty much just the first game again, but
That's so brave.
Which direction is Justin from me?
I thought
Upper
it was.
right. you.
That's going to be a mess. Justin, what did you think about the game?
I thought it was just everything that was good about the first game and Miles Morales, just all put into one game now with an even bigger map. Like, you can't really go wrong with that. They added new mechanics, they added new gadgets, they streamlined the gadget system. Instead of having like a select wheel, like in a Ratchet and Clank game, now it's all just mapped to a specific button on like the D-pad or whatever. So it's super easy to mix and match, use a bunch of different tools. And I felt the combat benefited a lot from it. They didn't do as much with enemy variety as I expected them to, but there was enough going on with it where I knew whenever I saw a specific enemy, I had to take it on a different way and to use everything in my arsenal at my disposal. And the story itself kind of just worked. I mean, it's a continuation of the first game and Miles Morales, and it really hits on a lot of the threads that were hanging from those games, and leaves some threads for a third one in this trilogy to end the story.
Ha! Threads.
Yeah, man.
Chris, what did you think about this game? You recently went back just after finishing Spider-Man 2 to Spider-Man 1, so you can talk a bit about some of the things like enemy variety and how this game stacks up to the first one, because I know you were saying before you went back that you had felt that 2 maybe meandered a bit more than 1 plot-wise, and now that you've gone back to 1, I'm curious what your thoughts are, comparing them more directly more recently.
My thoughts when I beat 2 were that was very good, but it felt very similar to the first. But going back to the first since then, I am literally at the part where Venom poisons you when you're swinging through the Poison City, for reference. That first game meanders a lot more than I remembered, and 2 actually feels
Scorpion
like
poisons you. Just to Just
Who
to
they
catch.
say?
I was
You
like,
said Venom.
wait, hold on.
So he's in part in Spider-Man 1 with the scorpion sting, not the venom sting.
Venom,
Yeah.
poison.
I mean, it is,
I don't
it
know.
is
Yep,
Venom.
yeah.
Yeah, it's confusing. I get it.
It's not as
Yeah.
bad as my Craven Carnage slip up from last night in voice
Craven,
call.
Carnage, Chameleon, the trilogy of I didn't know who Craven was until after Kevin told me about him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something
I mean Chameleon. I mean Carnage.
Something I should have appreciated more into during it is that it was taking a lot of time to build its characters, which I remembered one doing very well, but going back to it, it is a lot of Peter listening to voicemails of people talking to him about the story that's happening and not so much the story happening with Peter or Miles around them. They do a lot of little things in 2 that makes getting into the action quicker, such as actually just marking your next location after a mission instead of like, I guess I'll swing around for 3 minutes and then it'll pop up after I've gotten into something else, right? I feel like you can point launch to farther away buildings more, which helps as soon as you get done doing something, you're just immediately back into the swinging, which is faster now for sure. Just a lot of little things that, like, in the rear view, you remember Spider-Man 1. I can't speak for Miles Morales, but I just don't remember. But a lot of the things you remember 1 doing, but it actually kind of didn't. I think 2 is just a better gameplay experience all in all. I missed the weapon wheel and the expanded gadgets you had from the first game. But I also felt like it was a lot easier to pull off the new things you do with the gadgets and the spider arm, venom punch, whatever you would classify those as. I don't know. It's just a much better game, I think. Even when it does take its time to be like, all right, you're going to do a Naughty Dog thing and walk through this area and pick up things and go, wow, I remember that. I don't know how
But
that'll
it did it in a
hold
way
up.
that felt a little more earned than a lot of those usually do. Like even like that, there's an early mission where Peter's going upstairs into his old bedroom in May's house.
Yeah.
And there's the element of her bedroom still like there, like untouched, which is like, that's a grief thing, you know?
Yeah.
But then B, like it kind of felt like it was kind of quick, and B, it felt like you knew enough about this character because it's Peter Parker, no matter which Peter Parker it is, that there was a connection to that more so than a lot of those shorter walking sections tend to be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trav, I know you're going to be the one that goes deepest into things. So what's your general one?
I'm going to
paragraph?
keep this part brief
Yeah.
because I told all the boys before this, like, I'm just going to talk your guys' ear off about the comics. So to keep it brief, talking about the game mostly, it was kind of weird. So I played Miles Morales, or rather, I finished it about 3 or 4 days before Spider-Man 2 came out, just so that I'd be caught up because I thought that they would build more on where Miles Morales left off. It really didn't. Like it did with Prowler. That's really it.
Yeah.
And that's all side content. A lot of it is just built off of his own personal growth, which is great. But going from Miles Morales to Spider-Man 2 basically over the span of 2 days, like, you can immediately tell, like, oh, this is way faster, way more streamlined. Sometimes at first I thought it would be at the detriment of the game because I kind of liked holding down the gadget button to select what I wanted to kind of like pause in the moment.
Yeah.
You don't really do that anymore. But I also feel like the gadgets were like they trimmed a lot of the fat with what they do. Like, there's gadgets that are going to push people away, stuff that instantly webs them, stuff that pulls them towards you. And in the end, that's kind of really all we needed them to do. I like that. The combat is still, I think, just as good. There's a couple things that they changed that I missed at first, but then grew accustomed to, like how you can't heal no matter how much focus bar you have now. You have to wait till it's at full.
Yeah, that was a good touch.
Yeah, I didn't like that at first, but I was like, oh, actually, I think that this is good at making me be more careful with combat.
Yeah.
And then the traversal is just incredible. The web wings is such a huge thing. The slingshot, where you hold L2 and square, or it might be X.
L2 and X.
Yeah. Where you just, as the name implies, you just slingshot yourself across the city. Going from that into the web wings, it just flying basically across the entire state of New York is just amazing.
Yes, the entire state.
Nothing else in
What
New
did I
York.
say?
Yeah.
What were your takeaways?
The Bronx.
So yeah, the Bronx, dude. So I love this game.
Wait, hold on. Is
so
New York not a
much.
state?
It
a
is, but the
state.
city is much smaller than the state.
Yeah.
No, it's the same size. I've been there.
Have you
Okay.
now?
All right, Nico.
No, so basically, I love this game so much. Anything negative that I have to say about it is either nitpick or personal preference. And, I think for me, plot-wise, I loved it overall. They lost me in the middle there for a little bit, but it ended up coming back really, really quickly and getting back to the point of being incredibly interesting and engaging. And mechanically, I like this new way. I think it's a lot more efficient, a lot faster to get moves out, and just a lot less to think about. But I also do have a soft spot for that weapon wheel that I also kind of miss. I think the biggest thing for me was not having consistent buttons throughout the game. I think that having, like, they give and take abilities fluidly, basically.
They pretty much just give and then take away from Peter in one specific
Well, wait, what do you
instance.
mean by buttons?
Like how Miles
like-
and Peter have different powers because Miles has
Yeah.
the electric powers and Peter has
Okay.
the arms, and then it turns
Yeah.
into Venom. Or into
I
the
thought you meant
symbiote
how,
suit.
like, sometimes you can only go to a point by hitting L2, R2, or triangle, and sometimes that's a bit inconsistent.
Yeah, no, I meant more so that, like, Miles and Peter throughout the game obviously have different abilities from each other. And so for me, I think they did an okay job at mapping it of, like, your AoE is pretty much always circle,
Yeah.
and, like, your jumping one is pretty much always X. But, like, your square and your triangles, I always got them mixed up about, like, what they were going to do. And
They
sometimes
always
I'd
leaped
be...
towards triangle.
Okay, well, yeah, sometimes I'd be in certain scenarios where I needed one thing but used another thing because my muscle memory, like, wasn't there. By the end of the game, I got it. And so, again, this is, like, complete nitpicking. So that's my only real nitpick with it. Otherwise, everything about this game, I agree with everything every single one of you guys said.
The state of New York.
Yeah, even that.
Maybe not that one.
The only thing I'll hit on mechanically is the same thing that we've all kind of hit on, which is the weapon wheel. I do miss that being gone. It's a better decision to have it gone, considering that this game is going to sell another 30 million copies. It's better to be simpler for the wider audience than to go super niche down Ratchet and Clank with double tapping back and forth between gadgets, which they don't even tell you except for in a load screen, which this game doesn't have anymore.
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
right.
Yeah, this game doesn't. Oh, the double tap thing.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's in Spider-Man 1, if you double tapped the weapon wheel button, it hot swapped back between your last two weapons.
Yeah.
Well, that's
just
good
like
to
Ratchet
know.
and Clank. Yeah.
Did not know that either.
I did remember that, but I never used the weapons because I always had to pull up the weapon wheel and actually think about what I was going to do.
Yeah,
And this
so if
one,
you
I can just press a button and it does it.
So Justin's
Yeah.
the reason they took from us. Got it.
I never
when-
really found a reason to swap just between two.
It was mainly for stuff like if you wanted to combine two, which is what this game now does anyway. So like if you wanted to use the upshot and then the web bomb to shoot people up in the air with the anti-grav and then
Yeah.
blow them into
Web
the
them
wall
all.
and have them stick.
Yeah.
Those two would be the hot swap, or hot swap between your regular web shot and like another one. Stuff like that this game all combined into the main four spider gadgets. I still think that I would like there to be more spider gadgetry in this one, but this is more in the vein of Miles, where because there are two Spider-Men, I get why they focus more on their individual powers. I don't like the spider arms. Like, they're cool in this game, but I don't know. I only think of the Tom Holland Marvel when I think of those, and that's like, I don't. I'd rather
Talking
think
about-
of cool.
I
Marvel
feel like
things.
that was really only
Are
done
you-
just to, give
Give
Peter
Peter
some
something.
abilities.
Yeah,
that
no, it
can
it,
match Miles.
it,
You're
it
talking
makes
about
sense.
the mechanical ones that come out
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
on the back? Okay,
Like,
yeah, I didn't like those either.
It was one of those that was very less. It was lesser used in Spider-Man 1, and the only time you would use it in Spider-Man 1 was if you had that specific ult that gave you that for like one ability, or like for like the time of your focus meter.
Mhm.
And I do miss a lot of like the instant kill focus moves. I miss a lot of the focus combos and the ults and all that stuff that the first game had, even down to like the quip button that you could have. Like it kind of took a little bit away from having all the suits that they don't really do anything unique anymore. But in the same breath, I also know that nobody used any of those besides me. So I get it. Again, trim the fat, And other than that, I think that this would be a strong second place game of the year game, if not for, once again, the year that it came out. I thought that about the first game. It was my game of the year in 2018. This game, it would be, if not for Zelda or Baldur's Gate.
I was just about to say,
everything else.
Where would you rank this with Zelda?
It's always the bridesmaid Insomniac games. So that's my general takeaway. I have a whole video on it. You can watch that. You probably already have. So I won't go too much into that stuff, but I will go into spoiler stuff. So first off,
Spider-Man dies. No, I'm kidding.
What? First off, show of hands, who had their jaw drop when Venom straight up snaps a guy in half?
Yeah, that
I'm
was
sweating.
sick.
Holy shit! Don't raise
all
that
have our
hand.
hands
That was sick. That was sick. Yeah,
that was awesome, dude.
So for those that maybe are watching this and haven't played the game, that are just kind of like getting the spoilers through us, Venom is obviously the main focus of the game, but they do the Spider-Man 1 thing where the first act or so is a different villain, and then they fake you out partway through Act 2 to replace it with the real villain. So it was Martin Lee, Mr. Negative in the first game, that leads to Doc Ock and the Sinister Six in the latter chunk of the game. Here it is they build Kraven up as this mass murderer who's killed every other villain, including apparently Rhino. There's a deleted scene somewhere.
No, Rhino died in Miles Morales.
Rhino didn't die in Miles Morales.
The girl, not Taskmaster.
Did she? I thought she just knocked him out.
The girl killed him.
Finn?
No, she killed him.
Oh,
Finn.
Oh, okay, even better.
Yeah.
There was a clip somewhere of like a deleted area that they didn't use in the game, which was Kraven's house, and they had Rhino's head on a mantle. So
Yeah, I saw that, but I think that they backpedaled on that.
Okay, I mean that would make sense. I forgot that I haven't played Miles Morales since 2020. So good shout. Good shout.
I only know that because I played it like 2 days before.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
He kills Shocker and Vulture. Kevin was telling me possibly Electro. I didn't see that, but
I'm pretty sure Electro's dead too. I'm pretty sure they showed
I would love
Electro.
to see how he pulled that off, personally.
Yeah. He would have killed Sandman if not for Peter and Miles.
Yes.
Which
is a great
Sandman.
way to open this game.
We'll talk about Sandman in a second.
That whole scene's a flex, first off. The way they open the game.
So
the technology
the short of it is they build Kraven up as this killer who straight up kills Peter at one point too. Followed by then the best example of Insomniac learning from the first game, where they use the first act to build the true villain. Here, it's they build this world beater in Kraven, and because he's just kind of a one-note villain to begin with, he only gets off as a villain as being menacing. So then, when Venom finally shows up and Harry's been fully consumed by the symbiote, you just play a whole level as Venom, and it's like 30 minutes of you actually killing people, culminating in him biting the head off of Kraven, which is their way of saying, hey, we're fine being rated M. Get ready for Wolverine.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Dude, that's when
I'm so excited to see what they do with Wolverine.
That Venom level is what brought me back into the story, because
So what took you out? I think we should start there.
I don't like the symbiote story when the symbiote makes Peter emo, and then he starts...
I don't either. I agree with you there.
Yeah, and then he starts like disrespecting people and being mean, and then you have to play as him, and you can't stop him from doing that, so you're kind of forced to like be doing that as him, and I just don't like that. So that's just that kind of took me out a little bit.
But then, playing as the symbiote and killing people, that brought you back into
that brought me back in. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, you're kind of a symbiote to Peter. If you think about it, because you're making him do things he doesn't want to do.
Well, we haven't talked about
smoking
this
on symbiotes.
when we were talking about this game briefly, in spoiler chats as we're going through it. Nico was going through and had that complaint similar to the complaints he's had about Spider-Man 3, the movie. And one of the things that I didn't say to you was, I think you should treat it like wrestling and let yourself get worked. Because the point of that section is that you're supposed to be uncomfortable with how Peter's a dick.
Yeah.
Oh, I did get worked. I got worked. Yeah.
No,
so hard.
I think he came around.
Yeah. You did. It was
no,
just in the moment. That was my thought. Was like,
yeah.
like let you. The point is that you're supposed to be uncomfortable with how fucking much of a dick Peter is, because he's not just like kind of a dick. He's like full asshole at points.
Oh yeah,
and they do
Like,
it well.
I legitimately thought about stopping playing because it was like I was uncomfortable with it.
Dude, we can never let this man play Dishonored.
God,
It's okay.
no,
he was cool with the part where Peter hits his wife, so it's fine.
what?
It's true. You have a whole boss fight.
There's
where you
a
fight your
section.
wife.
It's a really cool boss fight.
Well, it's not your wife yet, but
Well, yeah, but
at some point they will be.
yeah.
Nico's trying so hard to remember.
Scream.
Oh yeah,
The
no,
MJ
that
fight.
When she
that
gets
was a
yeah,
cool.
so
that was
we get
cool.
the children of Venom, except it's really just one of them as Scream.
Yeah.
But it was a cool moment. I think so one thing I guess I want to get this off my chest real quick. One thing that I'm 50-50 on liking or wishing that they did it differently was Peter not being in control of himself, doing a bunch of terrible shit, and having to face the consequences of that. I liked that. I liked that a lot. Like how there was a lot of damage control on Peter's part. But then having the people close to him who also have a lot of pent-up feelings towards Peter, having to have the symbiote to bring that out, for them to realize after the fact, like, we have a lot to work on, but we'll get through this, I think is a really good moment, but I think also kind of took away a bit of the accountability from Peter. But at the same time, they made a really good job at clarifying that these are not his thoughts.
Yeah, I didn't think of that from
I
that perspective. I thought of that
yeah.
I thought of that from the point of like that boss fight. It's MJ as Scream,
Yes.
who is another symbiote character for those that don't know, who I don't think is usually going to be anyone related to close to MJ.
No,
That's new.
The symbiote hosts in this game are nothing
Yeah,
like the original source material.
but it's the main time they ever use Queens in this game. They built a whole ass area in Queens, and they just have you have a domestic incident outside of Queens in your neighborhood.
It's the Craven fight where Craven finds Peter at his house, and
Yes.
then it's this fight in,
Yeah.
in their backyard.
I was playing in front of my partner, and we were both just like, could you imagine stepping outside and seeing this happening as they scream about like mortgages and shit? Like, that'd be just
like there's that, and then Peter takes his mask off right next to his house, and no one's there to like notice it or anything.
There is a huge honor system going on with this
Yeah.
neighborhood where they're like, yeah, all right, we know, just we're not telling anyone.
Yeah.
But anyway, I liked a lot of the
Especially
parts.
with the ending.
Miles
Yeah.
has to have that too, though, because he has a very distinctive voice, and he just goes around talking to people that he already knows, but as Spider-Man.
I think
Like,
everybody
guys,
that knows
I think-
him knows he's Spider-Man.
I meant like in
Spider-Man might be kind of close to this Rio Morales person.
Why does Spider-Man hang out near the Brooklyn Visions Academy all the time?
yeah, right, exactly.
Why does he keep doing that?
And why does Miles keep cutting class? You know?
Why does the new Spider-Man have Miles' haircut?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
god, yeah.
Anyway, so to jump into the MJ thing again, I really enjoyed the fact that we already saw a lot of that from Peter, where we see him talking in the plural, a we, and you see the same thing with Scream and MJ, where you're hearing A, that happening, but then B, there's the points where she kind of breaks through and she says like, Peter, help, I'm that's not me. But the fact that during that fight, Peter has to apologize for all the things he's done as himself, as putting Spider-Man over her, to get to the end of that fight. I thought that was kind of more him atoning than them wiping past it after the fact. Doubly so when the game ends with Peter retiring. For now.
Which
I don't think that he's gonna stay retired for long. I think
God,
that
no.
right in the next
Yeah.
game he'll be right back in
It's
it.
such a
gonna
dick
say-
move also for him to retire like Miles is like, I'm going to college, and then Peter's like, oh yeah, by the way, you have to run New York. See ya.
I'm running a business out of my garage now, kid. So
yeah.
I'm starting a podcast with my wife.
I'm the new Tim Apple.
it's a cool startup.
No, like, and
Straight
I didn't know how I felt about Peter retiring. How'd you guys feel about that?
It's
He
the
won't
right
stay
move.
retired.
It's the right
I think
move.
after Venom, he's earned it.
Yeah.
I was ready for him to die, so I was like, cool, I'll take this instead.
Yeah, I thought he was
Yeah.
gonna die.
Okay. Yeah, I did not think he was going to die in the second game. I would think he would die in the third. That's a trilogy type of thing.
The way that I see it is that Miles is there now, so you can continue to have Spider-Man games without spoiling that it's not Peter, like on the front of the box, by just having just Spider-Man on the box. So
I mean,
if
odds
you
are
wanted
the
to
third
kill him,
game's
you could have
gonna
done it.
Yeah. The third game's going to have Silk on the cover probably, which
Yeah.
is going to be
It's
going to be
gonna
weird.
100% have Silk. Yeah.
It's going to be weird because they have to like tell a whole third story now, which
Yeah,
is probably not going to
so-
be a spin-off game.
Yeah, I saw people being like, well, they introduced Silk at the end of this game. For the record, Cindy Moon is introduced. No face reveal yet because they're probably waiting to
Because they know they're going to change her
actress.
face halfway through the
Yeah.
game again.
Yeah.
So Cindy Moon, Silk, in the comics, she is a character who is bitten by the exact same spider as Peter after the fact. Like it crawls on the floor and then bites someone else in the foot. Her main gimmick is that her spider sense is way more in touch. And also, because her and Peter were bitten by the same spider, no joke here, I'm being 100% serious. Whenever they are in the same room together, they get uncontrollable horny for each other.
Oh, both of them do. I thought it was just her for him.
No, it's both of them.
That makes
All right.
a lot more sense.
Love
The good news
that.
is
So,
the good news is that
I don't
both
think they're
of-
going to do that part.
Yeah, Peter and Miles' spiders are both dead. We saw them. We saw them get
Yeah.
smacked.
Yes.
Oh, we didn't see Peter's, to be fair, but it's been 8 years. It's dead.
And Cindy's about the same age as Miles, so there's no way that spider's kicking around still.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I think they're going to do the Cindy thing really briefly is I don't think they're actually going to have her be the third playable spider person.
No.
I anticipate that's going to be the end of Spider-Man 3 is that she has the silk suit on, Miles has the Spider-Man suit on, and that's how the trilogy ends.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see them making a third playable character simply because it's such a... You have to tell a different story,
That would
and
be insane.
they spent a whole game setting up Miles. Not Miles' game, Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
Like, Miles is a key player in Spider-Man 1 without
Yeah.
the suit.
Yeah,
And Silk is literally a post-credits tease, basically.
I think if anything,
If
Silk's
they're going to make
playable
a spin-off
in the
game from this,
multiplayer
I could see it being Venom.
Do you think
Um,
that she gets snuck into Wolverine?
I thought about that.
Oh.
I thought about
Yeah.
that. I think Carnage is more likely to get stuck into Wolverine somehow.
I think that's true.
Oh, interesting.
Why
I
not
didn't
both?
consider that.
we were discussing. I think I might have lost my train of thought, fellas. What were you?
Well,
Wow.
let me
Silk. Never
let me
mind.
plow through
Never
some plot things for those that maybe aren't in the loop. Carnage is one of the side quest character
Yes.
appearances. It's the other symbiote. It's the red one. It's weird that they put them in the side quest stuff because
Yeah.
I've been adamant since the end of the first game that game 2 or 3 ends with Red Goblin destroying Peter. I still
And now
think
we got
that's
the Goblin
case.
set up now.
Green Goblin, and I think so. Here's my pitch. End of the game for those that aren't familiar. Harry is Venom. Peter saves Harry, but it essentially makes Harry brain dead in the process because Harry would have died anyway. Norman hates Spider-Man because Spider-Man took his boy from him. They're getting the G
Doesn't
serum.
know it's Peter yet.
Yeah, doesn't get gets the G serum ready to try and do the last thing to save his son. But they're
And
setting
we
up
all know
Green
what
Goblin.
the G stands for, right? Ready?
Glock 9000.
Glizzy.
Glizzy.
So they're going to give him the Glizzy serum, and my anticipation is that Act 1 is Norman, Act 2 is a Doc Ock type thing, and Act 3 is Harry, now knowing that Peter killed his dad. That's-
Oh, interesting.
That's the way that I see it going, because Harry has been the through line of the entire trilogy. So
Yeah, that's fair.
I just think that there's got to be another climax there where you have a corrupted Harry somehow.
That's
And
interesting.
Harry didn't
'cause
really
I
get
thought,
closure.
yeah,
I felt like they would do more of a redemption arc for Harry.
I hope so.
Be
That's
but
what
like,
I thought,
help
too.
him fight alongside Peter to stop Norman.
I would have been cool with that. I mean, and that's how you bring Venom back, because one of our friends pointed out that they did clear Peter of the symbiote, but they didn't clear Harry of the symbiote, even though they got rid of the Venom symbiote itself. They're still part of it inside Harry. So
Yeah,
ostensibly, that's how you get Venom back, is if you want to do something with Venom. Harry still does have that in him. But it's just weird that they have Carnage as a side thing for now. So I don't know how they bring that back.
Also,
That was the thought that I forgot earlier, was the debate of whether Venom could still be brought back or not. But actually,
'cause
that's a really good point, that it's like
that-
inside of them, the way they
Sorry,
did
I'm
Anti-Venom and
getting
Peter.
excited.
Sorry, Trav, go.
no, I was just like, holy, my brain just like it wanted to explode.
Brain blast!
Yeah, so I was just thinking, because at the end of the game, they do that dumb thing where like the mothership dies, and so all the symbiote goo across the city just fades away.
Right.
My immediate thought is like, why didn't that happen to the Carnage symbiote? Because it was implied that it was taken from the Venom symbiote.
Yeah. That was a thought I had too, but it was like, well, they addressed that in a separate side quest, so he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no, he's here to stay. So I had a thought. It's gone.
That's fair.
I'm hoping DLC comes out for this game because
Oh, there
I
will
would
be.
like to see.
Yeah, there has to be. There was
More
DLC for
expansion of
Miles,
this.
wasn't there?
No.
No, there was no
No?
DLC for Miles, but that's because they had Ratchet coming. out
Miles
6
was
months
kind of
later.
just DLC on its own.
Okay.
Yeah,
But they had
Like-
DLC for Spider-Man 1.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
They had like a full 3-part thing with Hammerhead.
yeah.
Right.
And I'm sure that my hunch is that because they didn't address a lot of the Craven stuff after Craven died, it's more Hunter stuff, probably Chameleon, because they
Yeah.
tease Chameleon,
Yeah.
who's Craven's brother. So they'll do that, and then they'll probably go into. I think they might touch on Carnage a little bit, just a little bit. I don't think they'll do
Because
it
Yuri
full.
needs
Carnage could
closure
work.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
I think that Carnage could work as an overlapping villain if they wanted to do something like Hammerhead, where he's the thing for all 3 of the DLCs.
yeah.
I think Carnage could work there. I don't really know what they're gonna do with him because some of Carnage's best stories they literally did in this game, but with Venom.
Yeah.
Where he takes over the whole town, basically.
And it's so tough to shove him into Spider-Man 3 at this point because we know we have Ock, we know
Yeah.
we have Norman, we know Harry's going to be somewhere involved.
Like, I guess they could make their own new Sinister Six with a new cast because 4 of the members are out of commission.
Then they have to kill Martin Lee though, probably because he's gonna have an anti-hero
Yeah.
segment.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so this is one thing I was kind of confused by seeing the discussion around it online. Is it implied that Martin Lee lost his powers after helping Peter at the end there?
I took it that way, but I feel like
That's
they left it
also-
open to go either way.
Because that's what.
Because I just thought that like he just was like, all right, I'm done. I don't have to be.
I also thought
not
the
invisible,
same
Justin,
thing.
what were you going to say?
I was gonna say because Martin Lee, after he fights Miles in Craven's like abode, like his Coliseum basically, and Miles goes into Martin Lee and like defeats the negative that Martin Lee's trying to put in him. Martin Lee goes like normal instead of having the Mr. Negative glow. So I kind of figured
Yeah.
that was kind of the same situation right there. Like Martin Lee's now just gonna kind of bide his time and regain his power.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Mr. Negative itself is going anywhere. I think it's just more they're going to play on the he's an anti-hero thing now. Like he's redeemed
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
So he'll
I really like that they redeemed
yeah.
Martin Lee.
Agree strongly.
I think that it happened a little too fast because like he appears in the beginning. We have this great moment where Miles is struggling. Like I want to kill this guy.
Yeah.
Understandably. Well, I guess not understandably, but I get it. And then he's struggling with that because like Spider-Man's not supposed to kill, but here's this guy. I'm so full of emotion. I thought that they were going to use that to kind of mirror Peter falling into the symbiote to be like, here's someone who's control of their anger, who's someone who's not. They didn't end up doing that. Probably for the best.
They kind of did, honestly.
In a
I thought
way,
they
yeah.
did because like
Yeah.
there's the whole like that's the whole fight between him and Mr. Negative is one of them has to die.
Yeah.
And then Miles says, "Nah."
I guess my point is rather they didn't do what I was expecting them to do, which was having that be a big part over the course of the story.
Gotcha.
Because like Martin Lee, he disappears and then comes back basically near the end of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it eats
which
away
is-
at Miles
which was fine.
throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it
we
eats
do
more
have
than
these
his fucking school paper.
discussions a lot from Miles, where he's like, someone will bring up Lee, and then Miles will just be like, "Man,
Dude, yo,
I want to see
honestly-
him. I want to see him at his fucking desk, like trying to type his stupid school paper that they keep talking about, and then he's like, "I want to kill Martin Lee" as his essay.
I'm honestly surprised that they didn't read his essay, or they didn't let you read his essay.
yeah, that didn't go. Did
Like-
he even finish it?
They did
did.
at the post
Yeah, he
credits when they
finished
show
it
off.
because he was about to when him and Haley kiss for the first.
Oh, that's
time.
right. That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah, so they're in his bedroom. I thought they were gonna do a pan drone shot over the city and have Miles reading his essay with like a vague reverb on his face.
I could see that.
I would have
You know
liked
what?
that
I-
because the story recap was him asking Peter about advice for the essay. Right?
Yeah,
Like, how do I
yeah.
start this? So I thought that would also bookend
Which,
that.
by the way, barely covered anything that happened in the Miles Morales game.
There's really not much. It's just, hey,
They,
my
like-
old best friend died.
That sucks.
Didn't-
Didn't
killer.
talk about Prowler, didn't talk about the Tinkerer,
Yeah.
didn't talk about anything other than like, I had to do some stuff to save the city. And
that's cool,
now
Miles.
I'm Spider-Man.
Honestly, a lot of that I think probably was the fact that I think the team that was working more on Miles writing wise, I know they had a hand in Miles' stuff in Spider-Man 2, but I'm sure they're on Wolverine. So it might very much be like the Spider-Man 1 team went on to Spider-Man 2 the DLC team went on to Miles.
Is that
I believe
Wolverine
that.
game confirmed, or is it
Yeah.
like just speculated?
Yeah,
When they-
trailer.
when they-
PlayStation put a trailer out. Yeah,
When it was the same,
nice.
it was the same showcase as Spider-Man 2 when they first showed off gameplay, because they showed gameplay, said, "Oh, it's coming next year" or whatever, and then they that trailer, something else, and then they were like, "Oh, by the way, Insomniac also has Wolverine, so just get ready for that."
Yeah, there was
And
a
it-
full
yeah.
pre-rendered trailer showing it.
Yeah.
And then
And
I
they
want to
said
say,
rated M.
like, just within a month ago, they were like, "Yeah, it takes place in the same universe. Don't worry about that."
Yeah, well, that I
cool.
figured, because even the
Yeah, I mean-
even the Marvel the Avengers game takes place in the same universe, even though it sucked.
I am so beyond
Kind
excited
of.
for Wolverine. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for seeing this universe through the eyes of a different person.
Agree
And
strongly.
How
Wolverine
do you
is
think-
so different from Spider-Man in terms of his like morals and ethics that I'm kind of interested to
Yeah.
see how he does things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, he can't swing across the city, so I'm imagining traversing is
Hey,
going to be very
he
different.
might be able to.
Yeah,
might
you
just
never know,
Send his
Trav.
claws out and then swing through by cutting sky.
Oh.
Like Knuckles.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't like the idea
he'll
of his like
cutting
bones
sky.
shooting out.
Yeah, he cuts through the sky and swings. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Sky. Oh man, I like.
He just swims through the ozone layer.
So
Yeah.
I think we've hit on a lot of the story beats in a vacuum. So it's gonna
Surprisingly,
be.
have not talked a lot about Craven.
I'm not. I mean, Craven.
he's really-
Not
Craven was
surprisingly,
great.
actually.
What's there to talk about? He's cool,
yeah,
but
there's
like,
really
no,
not much to say.
I have
He's
something to
just kind
say.
of there to be a dick.
One of the best segments of the game takes place in New Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, that second MJ level, which leads to Peter getting stabbed.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a great moment.
That was
Yeah.
a great level. I really like that level.
it was a good
killing
level.
Spider-Man. As soon as
Yeah, I guess-
Spider-Man leaves New York, he dies. That's all I'm saying.
That's
I will
because he
say-
can't handle what it's like to live in a real state.
Kevin said something to me about the MJ sections that really sold me on them, and I think it's important to relay it here. Because I was asking, well, why do they have the MJ sections? Like, why do we need these? I don't want to play as a normal human being, blah, blah, blah. And Kevin was like, well, she's part of the team. And I was like, that just made me think differently about it. And that made me really appreciate the MJ sections a lot more. On top of the fact that, Kevin, you also told me you're like, yeah, just like run up on people. Just do
Yeah,
it. Like, it's
because
fine.
one of the things in Spider-Man 1 that
So-
sucked was that all of the MJ and Miles sections, if you got caught, you died. You had to start over.
Yeah.
Or at the checkpoint. They were very forgiving with checkpoints. In Spider-Man 2, if you get seen, it's just, oh, well, now you got to fight them. Like, now you just have to, like, now it's a survival horror game. And I liked that because it was like, oh, okay, MJ is, capable, for one. And two, they have another section where they have a regular human playing and doesn't have, doesn't have the wherewithal to, oh, I've hung out with Spider-Man a bunch and I have a gun. And that was Haley, Miles' girlfriend, now girlfriend.
That was such a rad mission.
And I loved that mission. I don't know about you guys. I know, Nico, you and I have talked about it. We've all kind of talked about it a little bit. But for those that don't know, Haley's character, is deaf. And what they did was give a side mission to Haley to retell Miles something that happened to her throughout the course of a side quest. And the entire mission, and they make it a long mission. It's like 20 minutes. There is no noise. Like, it is simulating being deaf. And it's one of the most interesting and unique ways I've seen this sort of this inclusive empathy that I've seen any game do. And at first you're like, oh, that's really cool. And then it keeps going. And then, 15 minutes in, you're like, man, this is going on for a while. Oh, wait, that's what this must be like. Like, you have to live in it for longer than it is fun. And
I really liked how they used the vibration in the controllers too.
Yeah.
Like it felt like maybe I was just paying more attention to it because the volume was non-existent, but like, feeling the environment kind of move around you in that way was kind of cool.
Yeah. Chris, did you have any thoughts about that or any other side missions in general?
Chris, do you have any thoughts at all?
Yeah, I'm just like, what? That very good. Trav's comment about the controller made me think about the very end of the game where it clicked with me like, oh, the vibrations as Harry is dying is his heartbeat fading. And that was actually really interesting. And it tipped me off that like, oh, they're going to try to resuscitate him. And I was like, when Miles brings him back and like you feel the controller, I was like, oh, such a tiny thing that you may not even notice, but very good. That's not about a side mission, but
No, that's fair.
Shout that out.
that was
'cause
rad,
is very
though.
cool.
I agree.
That does remind me of one very small thing before I pass the ball, which was the 3D audio this game uses most games that use 3D audio, the PlayStation surround sound thing, they don't use it if you have stereo speakers. They only use it if you are in surround sound or if you have the PlayStation Now the earbuds or the headphones. I noticed when going through like the menus that if you swap between each of the little tabs on the menu, the clicking does actually pan from left to right. And that was one of the first games that like I noticed it with my speakers. And that was one of the first games where I noticed that they're now evolving that 3D audio stuff so that it works regardless of your setup. And it's just like, man, the PS5 is Insomniac's console. I don't care. Like it's theirs. They own it until someone else takes the mantle.
I completely forgot 100%. That was ever a thing.
I guess if we want to talk about the technology side of it, we could talk about that Black Cat mission.
That was rad. Flex.
And I guess also the Mysterio stuff with how you go in and out of these
that's just from Rift Apart. That's both of those. The Mysterio thing is just the Rift Apart pocket dimensions, 1-to-1. And the Black Cat mission, I had to sit quietly on that because I should have disclosed this earlier. I guess I got a copy of the game like 12 hours before everyone else because Sony sent it to me late. And
he's biased. He got it 12 hours early.
And so it just meant I had more work to do instead of just not covering it. And that mission, I had to sit quietly on it until I knew everyone was through it in our group. And oh my God, it's such a fucking flex. Going to Justin, what you said, and we'll go on, and I'll pass the ball to you for Sandman. But going through those portals without a load screen, because in Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, they have a little interdimension section where you're in like this little pink swirly thing. Yeah. That's a load screen. You can play the game on PC, on your Steam Deck, on a hard drive. You can see that's where it loads. Mm-hmm. I don't know how they're going to put this game on PC now, because it's going to have to mandate a solid state drive for that to work. Because they didn't have those. They said, yeah, that shit we did before, we're just doing it now. We're not doing it with any like compromises. Fuck off. This is the PS5 game. And it was just, this entire game front to back was a flex. And even from the very first mission, like Justin was going to say, and like I'm going to pass to you, Justin, that Sandman fight, what the fuck?
The sense of scale in that whole fight is ridiculous. Also, shout out to the end of that scene, that mission with Black Cat with the Doctor Strange reference. Because Wong takes the thing back from Miles before he's able to.
Yeah.
This was the most I felt like I was watching an actual MCU movie because I was just kept going, what? To like all the fun little things. Like the post credits, I just sat there. I was like, I guess I'm Googling Moon? Is this Moon Knight?
Yeah, is this Moon Knight?
I don't know. I didn't catch the Doctor Strange part at the end. I knew it was obviously Doctor Strange adjacent. I was just like, oh, that makes sense that they're not going to give Miles that. Now that I think about it, that might be a DLC thing. They might fuck around with portals in the DLC.
They might fuck around with that. It's because it's a note for that just says like, hey, we've been looking for that for a while. Thanks, and it's like attributed to Wong. Like Wong took it from him.
I'm excited for the end. Go ahead.
Yeah, just tiny thought. I'd like to see them go a little crazy and just do like a Black Cat mission. Like you just play as her in Paris or something.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I still think, and not to jump away from what you were going to say, Justin, but I still think that there's going to be, we know every studio at Sony has a multiplayer game in production. They teased Spider-Verse with the Spider-Bot stuff. There's now 3 Spider people. There's Wolverine. There's Black Cat. I think they're doing a Spider-Verse something. Not that Wolverine's in the Spider-Verse, but he is in this one. I think that there's a Spider-Verse multiplayer something in the works somehow. That's my conspiracy theory. And it would, if we get to the end of Wolverine in like 4 months when that shadow drops, because they're insane, they're gonna do it.
He's calling his shot on record now.
No, but like it's not gonna come out in 4 months. But like when that comes out, probably next year, and the end of that is him getting Wolverine getting Doctor Stranged into Manhattan at the end with those portals. There's a multiplayer game. That's my bet. So Justin, back to flexing.
It sounds like just Fortnite.
Flex for us.
Dude, okay, hold on, real quick. The way that you were describing it, I'm like, oh god, it's going to be that scene from the end of Spider-Verse 2 where everyone's chasing Miles and it's going to be a battle royale.
Yeah. It's going to be like a beat 'em up battle royale, something like.
And Into the Spider-Verse battle royale sounds fire. I'm not even going to lie.
Actually,
dude, the ring is just Miguel chasing you.
Oh, that's so good.
Okay.
No,
you can set it in Mysterio's universe.
Like that the way they open the game with just Sandman. Sand is not an easy thing to render. Like sand is not an easy thing to like really like make that movement look realistic as to way sand would actually flow. And they just make a whole gigantic thing the size of pretty much the whole city.
Yeah.
made out of
Destroying
this.
whole ass buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like whole chunks of the city get destroyed.
yeah, and like
And
they
then
have
they-
parts of the city just covered in sand for part of the game, like
Yeah.
just trying to clean up after Sandman, and that's just how it opens, and that's just the start of the game.
And they send you flying across the map and then make you just go right back
It's
in engine.
That was the first jaw drop. Like I didn't know they were going to open with Sandman because by the time that we all had the game, we knew Sandman was in the game, but they kept that a secret up until the day that reviews dropped. Like the day the embargo ended, suddenly like one of the press images they sent along as part of the press package they send was like Sandman. And I'm like, oh, that's weird that they saved that for this long. And then it's the opening of the game, which I did not expect. But man, what a way to do an opening, because the Rhino mission in Miles was already a really good opening for that. The first mission in PS4 was a great opening. They always hit the ground running. But Nico, like you said, that section where they send you flying across the goddamn city, and then they were like, oh, by the way, you're flinging back. Like, you're going to fight him again. Like, we're not done.
They really said, we're not done with you.
No, it's so incredible. It's,
Oh,
you shouldn't be able to make games like that.
What do you think of Sandman's hair?
Pretty cool.
it's okay.
I thought it looked weird.
I thought it was okay.
I can't think I thought about his hair at any point ever.
Yeah, I don't think
I
about
don't
it.
know why it really bothered me. It's just like, why does he look like that? He looks like an asparagus.
I mean, I saw him
God.
as sand for most of the game. I didn't see him in human form for most of it.
You
I
only
mean,
really
even
saw
when he
him
like
when he went to the
shows up
raft.
as his main avatar, he sculpts the hair out of sand.
Maybe that's just the style.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
it.
but it looks he's a paintbrush, a walking paintbrush.
I have a basic Spider-Man newbie question.
Hi.
Was this the first time Venom had wings? Because that was pretty rad.
No.
No.
Okay,
No? Okay.
first time Venom had wings was in the 2018 run.
Okay.
Which I did want to talk about a little bit because basically everything with the symbiote stuff, like the swirl and all that, was taken from that run. And it was that was when Venom was an anti-hero trying to cope with the fact that now the symbiote gods are trying to pull him back, and he's like, no, I don't want to be a god. So hold on, I just destroyed my throat.
Worth it. That was a pretty good impression. That was worth it.
You know, if you had like 20 hours in the booth, you could do like 4 lines of Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
Eddie, you ready to become big?
So I think I could do it. I'll do the whole podcast as him. I'll throw up probably.
Give me a Venom telling Eddie to drink Red Bull.
Eddie, you ready to drink Red Bull? I need wings.
All right, now ask Peter Parker for
Eddie,
uppies.
Red Bull gives me wings.
So basically, it was a thing that, funny enough, he teamed up with Miles and saved him by growing wings and flying him to a hospital.
Okay.
Nice.
But no, it was oh shit, I didn't even know I could do that because he was being called by, all right, stay with me here. He was being called by Null, spelled Knull, the symbiote god. And his mark is that little swirl you saw in those symbiote faces, which made me think, okay, is there a higher power here that's doing all this? But by the end of it, it really felt like all of them were answering directly to Venom rather than Venom being sent as a agent of the symbiote planet.
Right.
I wonder if,
Which I was thinking like there could be DLC potential in this
yeah.
of Venom being just an agent of the symbiote god. But no, it really felt like he was just his own thing. Like, are we going to find out where the meteorite came from that's controlling him that also has that swirl on that?
I wonder if
really
they'll keep
felt
that
like
open
no.
or if they'll that might even be like a, hey, if we get time and budget, we'll do it. I don't think they're going to do a Venom game. I think they have too much on their plate because we know
I
there's a multiplayer
could see it being
thing.
a smaller, like, Miles Morales level spin-off, but that's
already
really
what Wolverine is. Wolverine's already only like 8 hours long, they said. So, like, that's already going to be Miles length.
That's disappointing. They should do more
Yeah.
with Wolverine.
I mean, I'm guessing that the Wolverine game is going to be more linear.
Yeah, I think
if
it's going to
you
be a
can't-
one
I can
and
only
done game.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, like without traversal options, it really doesn't make sense.
No,
to
I mean, he'll
have
be
it
able to traverse. He'll wall run with his claws or whatever. Like, he'll have that capability. They'll make him fast.
but it's not to the scale of Spider-Man. I don't think.
No.
Yeah,
And I don't think it should be. I think that they should focus on the smaller scale, especially if
strongly.
the game is it's taking place in like Montana, like they implied.
Yeah, yeah.
But basically, the symbiote stuff. I mean, we're gonna see Carnage eventually.
Yeah, that's going to come back.
It could be DLC. It could be a part of like a side quest in the new game, which would be a shame. But you know, I don't know what the hell they'll even do with the symbiotes going forward after they had such a huge scale thing with Venom.
Let me ask a question. None of us, I think, have gone back to watch this again, but Trav, you might be the most likely. The very opening of the game, when they show Norman looking at Harry in the Bacta-tank.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to talk to you about that too. Yeah.
So they show Harry, if I'm not mistaken, with the symbiote, and then Norman has one too.
Norman has it climbing off of his arm.
That's what I initially thought, but I thought that there was a bit where they both. Maybe I just read into like a couple frames too much when I was like zooming in.
The way that I remember seeing it was you see the symbiote in the tank already.
Yeah.
And then it comes off of Norman onto Harry. And the way that I perceived that after playing the game and seeing like no one can really just like give the symbiote back so easily was either like the symbiote just did not like Norman, or it's one of Harry's nightmares. And that's not what happens.
Sense.
I think that is more plausible.
Like a symbiote-induced nightmare in the Bacta-tank?
Because it felt weird to me that he seemed to have one when then I don't know. It felt weird that Norman seemed to have one and then didn't try to offer it back to Harry right away at any point as the teaser for the next game. Because that seemed like what they were going to do. Was once I saw that, I was like, oh, they're doing Red Goblin. Like that's happening. And then they just never really addressed that again. So I have to go back. I've been meaning to go back and watch that scene again.
I either see it as him giving it to him or maybe something induced in the nightmares of being in the Bacta-tank.
Yeah, because he mentions like there's so many weird nightmares and shit, and like just from what we know about the symbiote
with the Kraven fight.
Yeah, with and like just from what we know about the symbiote with the game, like how it works, I feel like it just makes more sense that that's a nightmare.
Yeah. The way that I had interpreted it was when the symbiote went from Harry to Peter, they were like, "Oh, it chose you," and then Harry just loses it entirely. And so in my head, it was like, okay, Norman gave it to Harry. It chose Harry, so Norman doesn't have it anymore. But then, like we were talking about, everyone having like the remnants of the symbiote in their veins and everything. It's like anything's possible. They really gave themselves so many outs here.
And that's really what'll be interesting.
Do you think that everyone who was a host for the symbiote has that thing in them? Because so where I thought they were going to go with that, I'll be quick with this, I promise. Where I thought they were going to go with that is also part of the Absolute Carnage story, where Carnage is going around killing everyone who was once a host for a symbiote, because you find out that a little piece of their DNA is left in their spine. And so Carnage starts going around killing people by ripping their spines out and drinking the spinal fluid.
Whoa, Metal Gear Rising? Let's go.
Yeah. It's just like that. It's electrolytes.
Nice.
And so that's where I thought they were going with that. But then they like do this whole thing with Martin Lee where you go into his psyche and then you like unlock the symbiote power with anti-venom, which I thought was really cool. But then it totally like shifted it on my head. Like I'm like, is it just because he had the symbiote for so long that Peter is the exception here and like still had a little bit of the symbiote in him, or is everyone going to be like that?
A good
what
question.
If, and this would be weird, but since they're going rated M for Wolverine, I've thought there's a chance they go rated M for Spider-Man 3, because it's not hard for any game to get rated M to begin with, and by the time Spider-Man 3 comes out, the players that played Spider-Man 1, the players that were born during Spider-Man 1 would be like 15. Because that game's not coming out for 5 more years.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be a while.
It's going to be 2026, 2028-ish. It'll be a total of like an 8-year saga, and that's only because they're insane, and they can make these games that fast. That's at the earliest. So they could get away with being rated M for Spider-Man 3, but what if the Wolverine game maybe actually fucks around with the Carnage storyline because it's rated M, so Carnage can rip spines out?
Yeah, I do think that'd be pretty radical. Yeah,
it'd be a weird crossover that I don't think they've done much before. I don't think Carnage and Wolverine have ever really interfaced. I'm not a huge comic guy, so I'm sure they have. But
I just
I mean-
watched like an hour-long video on the entire history of Carnage.
Dude, I saw that video too.
It's good, dude. It was informative.
I need to watch it then.
It
There
literally
was like
was
a
just some
hour,
guy.
17-minute video, just like the entire history of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
It was really
like
good.
he read the entirety of the comics and just relays the stories to you in a summarized manner. It's very nice.
Marvel hire this man.
Yeah,
I
legitimately,
appreciate
right?
that, honestly.
That's why they reboot this shit every fucking 5 years.
Exactly.
God.
Can I just shout out the voice acting?
No.
Yeah,
Oh
Voice
my
acting
God,
was
yes.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I think the like in Spider-Man 1, spoilers for Spider-Man 1, the seminal moment of like, oh shit, the voice acting's really f***ing good was Peter and Aunt May.
Yeah.
And Peter
Yeah.
like crying right there.
The
Yeah.
I
voice
think-
crack. I've never
yeah.
heard a voice crack that well voice acted.
No, that was
I-
some of the finest voice acting.
I think
Ever.
the moment that really gave me like the oh shit, this voice acting's really good is when MJ is trying to find Peter as Peter's running through the sewer sleeping,
Mm.
and
Yes.
then MJ's getting to her. MJ's getting to him, and then Peter just inside the suit just goes, MJ, run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
And
a
I'm like-
real true Breaking Bad moment.
I'll
Yeah,
go before
I
that.
agree.
I'll go to when Peter gets stabbed because MJ's carrying him through this whole section where you see Harry Venom fighting against, or symbiote Harry, I guess not Harry Venom, fighting against Kraven. All around you as shit's falling over, and she's just talking Peter to try and keep him alive. Like that one did it for me.
Yeah,
where I
just
was
keep him
like-
awake. Just keep him awake.
Like that was great. When they play back any of the stuff with Aunt May, immediately it hits really, really well.
He did a good job at voicing young Peter. I didn't
Yeah.
expect
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because Yuri Lowenthal's just one of the best. There's a reason he has a million jobs. But
The part that gave me like legitimate goosebumps was during that final fight with Harry, and he's just pleading with him, like,
Yeah.
please, like, you're not in control. Please don't make me do anything. Like that moment, like
I'm
just
excited
gave
for
me
New Game
goosebumps.
Plus because I was so
Yeah.
tuned into it that I didn't get a chance to fully appreciate the rest of it. But like there, even the smaller moments where there's like the secondary voice actors, like there's that one mission with the old grandpa who went missing, and it's the I'm fading Spider-Man that got me. It's Howard, the homeless man.
oh my god,
That one.
I
Yeah, that was the
didn't
one that
expect
did it
to
for me.
cry over a bird.
Yeah.
And I did. And like I knew it was coming as soon as they started that mission. I'm like, you motherfuckers, don't make me do this. Don't make me cry over a goddamn bird. And they did.
Yeah.
Just
think-
never do that mission. Everything will be fine with Howard.
There you go.
Or he just dies alone
I like
with
the
his
idea
birds.
that he doesn't die if you don't take the mission.
Just look, all I'm saying is
Spider-Man
Peter
would
is
come and take my pigeons so I could die already.
Peter's pro-death. That's all I'm
We
saying.
need the Sokovia Accords stat.
I think that specific mission is where it finally clicked in for me that, like, I do really appreciate that these games are making a world and they are taking time to focus on even small characters and build them out. Because
Yeah.
Yes.
at first, New York feels like such an impersonal place because you're just constantly swinging to it. I'm sure there are people who get down on street level and look at the buildings and everything and just kind of role play being Spider-Man. But for me, it is very much just a clump of buildings that I get through. And that's mostly all
Especially
I
in
think about
2.
it. Especially in 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are those missions like that that do stop, just kind of make you actually stop and think and go like, oh, New York, oh, people, right. People exist. We are saving people here.
Yeah.
And I just like the way everything's fleshed out. And I just like that it does take the time to build up these characters.
Do you think
even
that
if only
carrying
for-
people like floppy ragdolls helped with that?
No. Yes.
I'm surprised they did that as much as they did in the, in the
Yeah,
side
they
stuff.
kept doing that, and I'm like, stop.
I almost
Dude,
wonder
if I had a nickel for every time I heard "Thank you, Spider-Man," I'd have enough to like
Spider-Man,
pay
I'll give
Chris
you
to have it.
blowies, thank you.
The best one I had
um,
was him going like, there's an ambulance nearby. Don't worry. And it was like literally 40 meters to the right. And I was like, I'll carry you, but come on.
Dude,
Yeah.
did you get ones that like I got one that was like 600 meters away?
Yeah, I got
Yes.
a lot of
Like,
followers.
Yeah,
I want to
and
do
it was
a
like,
bit.
this is a while.
I want to do a bit where it's Spider-Man won't save you unless you say uppies.
Spider-Man, give me uppies.
It's like someone's just like sitting there on the ground like, oh my god, Spider-Man, thank God you're here, and he's like,
Say uppies.
yeah,
Say
He's
Spider-Man
like, say
uppies.
uppies, say it, and they're like, What?
Oh, okay.
How? Why?
I went the other.
He's like,
I went
"Say
the other
it.
way with that in my brain. I was
Say
thinking like, you know,
uppies."
when it's when you clear the crime and you get that objective marker. There's someone on the ground that needs your help. I was just thinking like they just yell, "Spider-Man, uppies!"
that too.
Spider-Man,
But-
give uppies, please.
I was gonna say one thing that you meant that you were showing us yesterday, actually, Chris, because you were going through and getting the trophies in Spider-Man PS4, the actual PS4 version.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man Twitter
Oh,
that existed in that game, I kind of miss that being into. It's
Yeah.
worthless. There's no reason
Yeah.
anyone should look at it, but something like that touched on that
Just like real
personal
Twitter.
element.
It did
Yeah.
help. Yeah. The first thing I saw when I looked at it for the first time again this week was someone just being like, I love giving my dog a bath because then his fur's real soft. I was like, someone sat down and wrote that. But cool, I guess.
It's good world building.
I'm a
100%.
Spider-Man character.
Hey, we have a silver lining of everything though. The Screwball's not here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank Christ.
Right. Screwball.
Dude, if Screwball
Taskmaster.
showed up while Peter had the symbiote, he would have killed her.
Actually,
I didn't do. Is it from the DLC?
Yeah.
I didn't do
No,
the
no,
DLC.
Screwball's
in
It's
main
a
game.
Screwball is in main game.
Was she?
She's
Oh, yeah,
not
she
as
was.
she's not as invasive in every other DLC. She is like the only side content, and it's terrible.
She was
What,
the
like-
influencer who was like, well, we got to stream this for my audience. Do some stunts, Spider-Man. If you didn't do
Yeah.
it,
Or
you're
else I'm
fine.
gonna blow up
No,
Manhattan.
I
Oh, right.
100%ed the base game of
That's-
Spider-Man 1 as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
Did them.
she shows up briefly.
I don't remember her.
You're fine.
I have to look it up. Yeah.
Trust me, you're better.
Hey,
off.
honestly,
swear that she
you
was-
don't need to.
There's a thing in every Insomniac game to this day that the worst thing that makes it into a game gets an award internally within the studio. Screwball supposedly won both for Spider-Man and Miles Morales.
They just kept putting her in. I'm like, stop. Her missions
Honestly,
suck.
That's the oldest that Insomniac
Oh, that's right.
seemed during that game. Was like,
Oh.
oh, this is what influencers are.
Wasn't the Screwball stuff in the base game was like you have to combo your web gadgets or something
Yeah.
like that?
That
And
was
it-
mostly more so DLC, but there was the timed ones were like flying through the city.
Yeah.
And again, like
Oh.
like I did them all. I did it, but like again, I was the only person. God bless you.
Why was it so loud?
Okay.
That was like a
you-
vomit
Wow.
level sound blast.
I was the
Okay.
only person at the beginning of this podcast that said they were happy that the weapon wheel with the gadgets were gone, and a lot of those Screwballs things were comboing your weapons, and I was just like, I don't want to do this.
If you ever go back, just double tap. That's what they want. That's what they wanted you to do. They just didn't tell you well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of just assumed that people would think it's a Ratchet and Clank.
I
game.
used the double tap in those and I still thought it was boring.
It's
I mean,
boring.
at a point, it was a little boring, but it was cool for like learning the new game plus strats. Because I really liked in Spider-Man 1 that most of what we're doing was instead of punching things, you just pressed the
Yeah.
focus kill button and then did it again and again. I don't care that it was just watching cutscenes. I kind of liked
Well, actually,
the taking down hundreds of people in 2 moves.
Yeah.
One thing
well,
that
and you know what?
I-
Actually, sorry.
No, go ahead, Nico. You're good.
Yeah, just a quick one. Speaking of that, I felt that the enemy. I know Trav mentioned the enemy variety earlier.
That was
and
not me. That was Chris.
That was Justin.
Nope.
That was
Someone
that
mentioned.
was-
That
I
was
don't-
Justin.
You know
No,
what?
that was
I don't
Kevin.
care. Someone mentioned enemy variety earlier.
That was
No,
me.
Nico, it was you. You mentioned that.
That was
Yeah,
Nico.
sure, whatever. So I liked that there were not as many big boys in this game, or at least I felt like
Yes.
there were not as many big boys.
Yeah.
The big boys are so annoying, dude. Like, they just make you feel powerless as Spider-Man. It's like, I get it. You got to web
What?
them up. It's like, you're
You
already
just web
doing
'em.
that anyway. But it's like, when I'm just like hitting a flow state and I'm like ping pong zip zopping between people.
bong.
And I want to be able to just feel powerful as Spider-Man. Nothing slows my gameplay loop faster than those big boys. And so I'm
Specifically
glad there
the-
were
You
less.
just
the Venom
electrocute them
versions.
or web them and then keep punching them.
No.
The
especially
Venom
in-
ones
in-
were fine
You just
because
get
they
it-
were totally different enemies. I'm talking about the human ones that feel like you should be able to fight them as Spider-Man, but they're just big.
They just keep
I mean, you
doing
can-
that.
Yeah,
Thing
you can fight them. You save your focus for them in Spider-Man 1. In 2, you web them up and then use the web slam, and then they get
Yeah.
stuck to the ground and you win.
Yeah, no, for sure. They were not easy. They were not hard to take down.
You had to do something different.
Yeah, it just stopped my flow when I would punch and
Right.
it would auto lock onto one of them and just like stop me in my tracks, and that was it. Like not that I didn't know what to do. As soon as I registered that there was one of them there, I did the right things. But I was just like, they just broke my flow, and I'm glad there were less of them.
Yeah.
I did want to build off of that
Yes.
to talk about Kevin talking about the New Game Plus strats you would learn from Screwball. And that kind of, I guess, prepared me for the ultimate difficulty in the first game. I haven't done it in the new one yet. Where I was noticing I was either comboing my gadgets or relying a lot more on the webs to take people out. Because before, it was either just keep punching them until they're down on normal, etc. But on ultimate difficulty, it was like I'm paying attention to people close to walls so that I could hit them with the webs. It's usually like 3 webs to knock them back, and then they're stuck to the wall.
Yeah.
Or I would hit people with the web bomb, and then the concussive sorry, I just smacked my mic. And then the concussive blast to smack them all against the wall.
Sure was a
wall,
concussive
hit
blast.
Down. What I said?
Oh, that's a good idea.
No, I said that sure was a concussive blast when you.
Oh
hit
yeah,
the
I just.
mic.
Anyway,
Thank you for
Glad you
doing it
did it.
again.
and then like
Audio
or hitting,
listeners, thank
hitting-
you.
or hitting the big guys with the electricity, picking them up, swinging them around, and then webbing them as soon as they're vulnerable. In this game, I was not doing that as much because the gadgets didn't really allow for that. It wasn't until I got the ricochet web, which felt like I got that way later than I would have liked.
Same.
But like the closest I got to that was either using the upshot and ricochet or the get everyone together and then the ricochet web. Because otherwise I was knocking everyone together with whatever that thing was. I don't remember. The web pole, I guess.
Yeah.
And then waiting until everyone was perfectly face down before I started hitting them with the webs because that would take them out.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't, they would sit there floating in the air, just taking an infinite amount of webs and just kind of just bouncing there. Otherwise, but then you get the ability that pulls in objects too, and that kind of ruined that strategy for me. And so I'm thinking like, yeah, you're not really webbing people to walls that much.
I was.
I was also.
I still was,
I kinda
but
did
not
too.
nearly as much.
I think I did more so in this game actively, but that's in part because I didn't have the web bomb to do it passively. And the 2 gadgets I miss the most are the web bomb and the trip mine. I don't think we needed the trip mine because they kind of just gave up on stealth this time.
It was a little f***y though. Like the trip mine was literally just an instant takedown if you had it.
I actually don't think that they gave up on stealth. I'm going to fight you on that one because I think adding the web
I think
line.
stealth was way better.
Yeah, I think adding
The
that
stealth
web
was-
line and the
stealth was
like
better, but
2.
there's only 4 stealth sections in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Not if you go
You can
about
make-
things the way I did. I did a lot
the-
of stealth.
The bases you can do stealth, like you can do stealthing, but they gave up on the idea of there's a character that's invisible, and unless you do all the Prowler missions, you don't even get a good ability for being invisible. Like it's just kind of a thing that you can do, but they actively don't even remind you it exists anymore. They show you the
I just
web line
used it
once.
as a power up, honestly,
Yeah.
because like you get that damage bonus while being invisible.
Yeah. Like that
Yeah.
was all I used it for, because otherwise Miles being invisible did not matter. Same with his electric webs; they don't have those anymore.
I'll be honest,
So-
I don't even use the invisibility stuff.
Yeah, me neither. I used it once or twice once I found out it gave you the damage boost, and then I just
Like
forgot.
to me, the web line isn't like a stealth gadget as much as it is a hey, look what we can do, and B, take down a few enemies specifically to in the bases take down the respawn thing, or to take down the annoying enemies and then fight the rest of them anyway. Like I play stealthy when I'm in those sections, but they absolutely punted on the idea of this having stealth elements anymore because they didn't really change anything about the AI like they did in Miles.
Yeah.
They just
Right.
said what's there is there.
Also, the
I see
the
what you're
upgrade that lets
saying.
you take down 2 people from the web line trivialized everything for me.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and that like so that's my thing, right? It's like I see what you're saying in that they did away with sections that were like designated this has to be stealth.
Yeah.
But
It was more just like you can do it, and if you don't, they don't call back up. Or if they do, if
Well,
you
so-
fuck it up, they call back up.
so that was my thing was whenever I did go into something attempting to do stealth, I always 100% did it in stealth because every time that I felt otherwise, even if I took out a few enemies here or there, I was sure that they were going to call in backup and it was just going to be a full fight anyway. So
First
I
game
just did
a lot
it.
of that. Like it would give you a
Yeah.
stealth section, and you do it, and you go, "Ah, cool." And then some
And then
guys would just
reward.
come through
Yeah.
the door and be like, "It's Spider-Man!" And
Yeah,
then you just had
they
to fight him
got rid
anyway.
of that. Thank
Yeah,
God they
God.
got rid of that. But in general,
Yeah.
like there's very few active stealth sections. That it's just a bonus where if you do play stealthily well, then cool. But like I never had a section where when I failed stealth because somebody randomly saw me, I was like, oh damn, it was just cool. I'll just kill them better now.
Yes.
Like stealth took more time than fighting actively in this game.
Agree strongly.
Yeah, but
And-
I always get it like an enjoyment from doing it stealthy.
So do I. So do
me
I.
too.
But not having the trip mine, which is a gadget I used during active combat more than I did during stealth in Spider-Man 1. Like, it's cool to use in stealth, but when you're fighting in a regular battle in Spider-Man 1, and then you shoot a trip mine and it sticks two people together as you're fighting dudes behind you, like that shit was incredible.
Godsend.
So that and the bomb were the only two gadgets I really actively missed from 1.
I hope next game they can still keep the simplified system they want to keep, but also introduce like a gadget swap out system to where you can just customize your
Yes.
loadout and then take that in.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best of both worlds because you can get some weird creative stuff, but also
It'll
keep the 4-button thing.
It'll also be interesting because I don't know that they're going to keep the Venom stuff in Spider-Man 3 unless the story involves it. Like, we know Peter has the anti-Venom powers, but do they bring
Will
that?
he keep them?
Do
Is
they
that
bring
part
that
of him
back,
now?
or do they just say, "Oh, he doesn't do that anymore"?
I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Peter won't be playable in 3. That's what my gut
no, he
is
absolutely
telling
will.
me.
No, he'll
Unless
be
they
playable.
kill him at the
I
start,
think
he'll
that
be
they
playable.
cannot do the story with Goblin that it feels like they're setting up without Peter.
Yeah,
Especially if Otto is going to be involved.
I think in 3 Peter has a kid, and that's
fair.
a lot of the impetus for the story is Peter going to die to the villain of the Spider-Man series, and can Miles handle?
Goblin is like Joker to Batman. You can't
Yeah.
do it without Peter.
Doubly so when the story's going to have Harry involved somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. That's fair. And a coterie of supervillains otherwise.
I mean, most of the main Spider-Man villains are dead now. Craven
Yeah.
killed them all.
Or reformed.
Or
Yeah.
reformed.
The idea
Like,
now is like to get the
Tombstone.
biggest one and then get all the ones that we missed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
think
sort
that,
of
I think
Aren't
that
many.
So I also think that Chameleon, like if they are going to do another like Sinister Six sort of thing, which I think they will do just with some smaller villains, Chameleon would be kind of perfect for that because otherwise, like, I mean, he's not super powered. All he does is just change his face and he could blend in. And I think that if they're going to have a Sinister Six, that Chameleon would fit in perfectly with that because it'll give this whole like, who the hell can you trust? What does Norman know about me kind of thing.
Yeah, so what does
Especially if he's going to be working with Otto to try to find his identity.
Chameleon like really do in the comics, Trav?
So,
So he doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't have superpowers.
So what does he just like pull pranks on people? Like essentially,
basically?
He's in the end of Yakuza 7.
I was
What?
thinking and smiling about it a minute ago. I was like, I know if I say it, Kevin will get it, but I won't.
Yeah.
So thank you.
is there
There's a
somebody
character
that,
named Mirror Face in Yakuza 7 that's the biggest ass pull that series ever has.
Yeah, those who know. We won't say any more on that just in case. But
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to tell me
but
later.
I mean, basically, like he would use it to like pretend to be the people that just fuck with Spider-Man, and that's his whole thing. He's never really been that dangerous. Like there was an arc where he built a bunch of robots with his camouflage tech that would be like, "Hello, Peter, I'm your beautiful girlfriend. Tell me about your secrets." That kind of thing.
he'd be like, well, okay.
But I mean, if we have Insomniac, then I'm sure that they could do something better espionage on his part.
Yeah.
Which they've probably done. I mean, I don't really find Chameleon that interesting of a villain. But
willing
I
to
think
hear
that
them
if
out.
he's working with other people,
I'm also willing
I
to
think
hear
that would
them
be a
out.
good way to go about it.
I am willing to let them cook.
Also, Craven's wife is in like every version of the source material Wakandan. I was surprised that they didn't do anything with that.
Yes, Chris.
Shout out to the character we didn't mention for an hour and a half, but I thought the lizard fight was really cool.
That was a
Oh,
really
yeah.
good fight.
Oh, yeah,
that was
Dude,
Lizard
it
fight was
gave
incredible.
me
great,
big
yeah.
Godzilla 2008 vibes.
I never
just
cared
kinda-
about the lizard until this game, and now I think he's pretty cool. So
It was just
You didn't like him in Amazing Spider-Man when he looked like a turtle?
no,
it was just unfortunate that he got kind of eclipsed by some other maybe more impactful story-wise boss fights. I had initially thought that the story was going to end before we got Venom, and I thought that was like nearing the final boss. And so at the time I was very like invested in it, but then as the game progressed and I got worked, it really just the other boss fights ended up just being kind of more impactful to like the main story.
Yeah.
However, that fight was awesome.
To jump in front of
Dude,
you
I don't
for
know
the-
about you guys, but for me, he was just stuck in the corner, and I just kept. And then every time it was like, oh, you have to parry this. Parrying, we haven't talked about that. That's a cool.
I was
addition.
actually going to
liked
bring
the
up parrying.
Yeah.
I thought that was
but
pointless.
I literally every fight, it was just like every time he was about to break out and do something, I was just like ricochet web. Okay, you're stuck again. Oh no, I have to parry. Blah, that's it. Like it felt like a Dark Souls boss, but like in the way that I feel like a bully.
That
Yeah,
fight on
I
hard is
liked-
going to be baller. Chris, what were you
Yeah.
going to say a moment ago?
I was just going to help Nico out because someone would be like, how would you not think Venom's in the game? Nico didn't really pay attention to the marketing. I was just going to help Nico out real quick.
I'm surprised
Oh,
you missed the
thank
whole
you.
19 inches of Venom thing.
Yeah, I heard zero
I posted
marketing
about
of
that
anything
in the channel. I guess you just didn't really internally.
I
Nico
didn't
doesn't
care
read Twitter
enough.
unless,
Yeah.
unless we actively tag him.
Yeah, if you don't say Nico, look at this tweet, I probably won't look at it.
I will.
There's a lot of
Fair.
anime stuff
Keep that
that
in
people
mind.
post.
Oh, that reminds me. I need to post some more anime stuff. Hold on.
Yeah.
Ooh, anime?
To
Yeah.
jump in, I was looking to see if there was I was looking at something else related to Spider-Man 2, and Trav, I do have confirmation that Electro is dead.
Oh, really? Okay.
So in one of the missions I think in New Jersey, they show part of his trophy case has Electro. Though it
Oh,
still
right.
says that Rhino's not actually dead as
Oh,
of
interesting.
Miles. So I don't think he's dead.
I was fucking wrong.
I guess they want to keep him because he's an easy, not too high stakesy,
A
maybe
jobber.
comic reliefy
He's
kind of
a
guy.
big muscle boy. Whatever.
Yeah.
He's a good jobber.
He'll die anyway.
I liked when he says chase of goose.
Yeah. I like that his power is just that he's big.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
He's big and he can't take his suit off.
He literally
can't
he's-
get his pants off.
He's just Brock Lesnar IRL.
But that was the last thing that I really wanted to touch on before we ended the pod. Parrying. Why'd they do that?
I love the parrying, dude.
Dude,
it was so
sweet. What do you mean?
satisfying.
It makes sense because they had the electric shock stuff in Spider-Man 1 already, and the only thing you could do was also dodge them. So it made sense that they had another tier to, like, there's unblockables that you have to dodge, and then there's undodgeables that you have to block.
Yeah, it just basically
It
said,
sounds-
hey, instead of pressing the circle button, you press L1 now. It
Sounds
was-
like
it
you
didn't
had a
do
skill
much.
issue, Justin.
Skill issue. I'm missing it so much in Spider-Man 1. Even though
I
I
think parrying
spent,
will be... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I spent 3/4 for Spider-Man 2 doing it wrong. I thought it was both bumpers, so it wasn't working for me. I was just like, man, the timing must be really tough on this one. No,
No,
I think
that's Sonic Frontiers.
that's exactly my
that'll
problem.
be-
I didn't want to out myself, but I've been playing a lot of that lately too. And I was just like, what the heck?
I think that'll be another thing that's going to be really killer for New Game Plus once they drop that, is like
Yeah.
parrying will be prime
Yeah.
for that game.
So, also, sorry, Justin. Why didn't you like it?
It
Yeah.
just
he doesn't like
didn't-
Dark Souls.
No, it just didn't feel like it was necessary because you could just dodge everything otherwise. So
Yeah,
the
he
only
just
the
doesn't
only
like
time
Dark Souls.
the only time I would ever use it is when they specifically said, "Hey, use it," and I was like, "Okay," and then I went back to pressing circle.
I
See,
think
I
the
do
idea...
But
feel
once you
to-
get the ability that like makes them fly backwards at like Mach 5 after you
Yeah.
parry, you go
I-
parry R1.
There's, you know what?
I
It's
defaulted
so cool.
to parry.
I'll jump onto
to
that.
parry.
There's a couple things. One, I think that I think that the ability trees maybe needed a bit more work in this game than they did in Spider-Man 1, because there were a lot of abilities
really
that
overwhelming.
were necessary that I didn't get to later. Not necessary, but as soon as I had them, I'm like, I'm not going back.
Also,
And there
like
was
I
stuff-
felt no reason to upgrade the individual Spider-Men until I had the like both of them
Yeah, same.
traversal thing upgraded.
I went
Oh,
the
really?
other way.
Because I did Miles first. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I did
okay.
most of the
Interesting.
individuals first because I didn't. The whole
Yeah.
left side of the Spider-Man, the dual Spider-Man upgrade tree, I didn't really do until I had everything else.
Same.
Oh, dude, that was the first one I built.
I went immediately for that.
Well,
I just
traversal
both
was the
of them.
middle one, and even then, a lot of the traversal was like, "Oh, you point launch faster."
Well, it's
but I
also
was
like the combat
I
shit
didn't.
too.
I did traversal very last. Traversal was the last because I always felt like I was wasting valuable combat resources if I put things into traversal.
I guess I was cocky about my combat skills that I just didn't bother.
Oh,
I,
can we? Sorry, I do want to talk about the suits before we end as well.
Well, let me
Uh-oh.
finish before I forget
Yeah, you
my
finish
thought.
first. Sorry,
The
I just wanted
other
to put
thing
that out there.
was that I think it's also the idea of parrying is important to how this game plays versus Spider-Man 1, in that you are supposed to be very aggressive in this game. Spider-Man 1 was about dodging and using gadgets. Spider-Man 2, because of the Venom element, is about beating the shit out of people. And I think that having a direct parry button was an indicator of this is not just going to be the little slippery twink Spider-Man you're used to. This is going to be twunk Spider-Man.
Yeah, dude, I
building
loved
on
it
that
so
real quick
much.
before we wrap this up.
Yes.
How did you guys feel about the like God of War like Peter symbiote like rage mode?
I think it was
The
cool.
first time I
barely-
got
barely
that, I
used
was
it.
just screaming. What?
I
You
barely
barely
used
used
it,
it? That was like
yeah.
my favorite thing.
I like
I
almost
loved
never.
that ability so much.
Yeah, it was sick. I mean, it
barely
also has
used-
really cool cutscenes when he like beats the shit out of people.
It made up for not having all the other ults that the first game did, because I really miss Spider Bro.
Yeah.
I fucking love Spider Bro.
Yeah, Spider Bro was a good one.
Because it was just you press both buttons, you press both sticks in, and then he kills everybody. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want to be Spider-Man that kills. I want my robot to do it for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Costumes.
Activate instant
Yeah. So the suits, I did not. I have a hot take. I did not think that the majority of the suits in this game were better than the last game. I think the last game had better suits.
I'm killing you.
But there were a couple in this game that I adored so much. So I always had both of them dressed as I was calling them the Foreskin Brothers the whole time, because they had it was the noir Spider-Man from Spider-Verse, Nick Cage, that had the fedora on, and then I gave Miles the music one with the fedora on.
What about them
Correlation, please.
made
Foreskin
them
Brothers?
Foreskin Brothers?
Just the hats, they were uncut. And so
If you like what you heard, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the video.
I also liked the McLaren F1 racing suit that Peter can get.
I got my
I
rainy
thought the
suits.
suits were way cooler in this game.
Were there a lot of suits in this game that weren't? Were there a lot of suits in Spider-Man 1 that didn't come back?
So like the anime one that looked like a fucking Power Ranger didn't come back. That's all I can think of.
The Common Rider one didn't come back.
Yeah, I think it's
Sam
just
Raimi
those.
one is there.
Sam
Yeah,
Raimi
'cause
one
the
is there.
Skull-
Venom Sam Raimi one.
we
is
we
there.
have all the
Sam
we
Raimi
have
there.
all of the other DLC ones. We have the Iron Spider.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, there is also a set of DLC suits too that we're not thinking of
Yeah, the
because
one
of the digital deluxe that none of us bought.
Chris heard me. It was the skull suit that I really liked that I didn't
Oh,
get. In
dude,
this.
I
Oh,
hated
the
that suit. I'm
flaming
glad
skull.
it's
That one
gone.
that looked bad. Yeah.
Yeah, that one
No,
was
that
terrible.
one I
funny.
liked that one so much. It was
Absolutely
great. It
appalling.
was so
It's
Is
stupid.
disgusting.
Fantastic Four trash
Anyone
bag
who
suit?
uses
Oh,
it
the
should
trash
not
bag
be
is
alive.
gone.
I think the trash.
Oh yeah, the
the
Fantastic
trash bag.
Four one.
That makes sense probably because Insomniac's going to
Fantastic
announce a
Bagman?
Fantastic
Yeah.
Four game in like 6 months. That's going to be out in 4 months.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
I like it.
Justin, calm down.
I like
killed him.
the idea. I like the idea of a game being on the shelf for 2 months and be like, oh yeah, by the way, we made that.
It's on the digital store, but they release it under a different name, so no one sees it. And everyone's like, "Oh, why would I buy Tit Fighter 3?" And then some guy buys Tit Fighter 3, and they find out, "Oh, wait, this is Insomniac's
It's
Marvel's
Fantastic-
Fantastic Four." And then as soon as it drops, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, that's out."
That's a good.
I like the idea. Well, that's what Skull and Bones is up to right now.
So wait, so Chris used the Raimi suits. I used the Foreskin Brothers suits. Kevin, I
So,
know
okay,
used-
I have a different approach to this because if I had the ability to unlock a new suit, I equipped it. I used
Okay,
every
so
suit
you were just- you
periodically
just
through the whole
tripped up.
game.
Okay.
And
do
then
a
by
thing
the
till
time
credits.
that Miles gets captured by Kraven, I had the Wolverine suit
nice.
and I couldn't change it, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wanted them in the Foreskin Brothers suits the entire time, but it wouldn't let me. Anyway, I won't complain about that.
Okay.
Kevin, I know what you use, but tell the people.
I'm Kevin now. I think that I used the Miles suit where he had the puffer jacket and the hoodie
I use
and
that
the
a lot too.
shorts. I
Dude,
used that one all
okay.
the time because that one felt the most Miles to me.
Yeah.
The Puerto
The
Rico
Daft
suit
Punk.
for Miles was sick. I love that he got a Puerto Rico suit. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that they had more Spider-Verse suits because they have Noir
Yes.
Spider-Man for Peter, and then they have the normal Spider-Verse one,
Oh.
and then they have Across the Spider-Verse because their designs are different.
Yeah.
And then they also have the suit where Miles in the beginning of the movie grabs the costume from
with the
Stan
cape.
Lee with the cape. I love
And
that.
they
If
brought
you
back the
zoom in on
cat
the
suit
back.
from Miles.
Yeah,
Oh, they brought-
that's what I was
they
about
brought
to say.
back Bodega,
I
they
think
brought
that
back
one,
Bodega Cat.
that one I actively went back to use because I just adored it. It was
I
so
love it
good.
when
Bodega
Miles gets
Cat.
thrown into a wall. Chris, what were you gonna say?
Yeah,
I was gonna say, if you zoom in on the back of the Into the Spider-Verse one that Stan Lee sells, the little tag says it all fits eventually or whatever.
Oh, it's
Really
cute.
tiny little
That's
tag.
awesome.
That's cute.
Very
To
good.
answer your question earlier, Nico, Justin, did you finish what you were saying about your suits?
Peter's suit. Which one did I usually use? I used when it was Venom time. I used Sam Raimi Venom,
Okay.
and when it wasn't
That's
Venom time, I used I don't remember the name of it, but it's the one with the hood, where he has the hood up.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
and I
the
would
like
change-
Assassin's Creed looking one.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then I would change. I bought the extra colors, and I changed the colors to black and red.
nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do want to give
love
a
the
shout
color
out.
stuff.
The colors.
I want to
are
give
great.
a shout
love
out
the
to
colors.
the classic symbiote suit, which is what I used a lot after symbiote time. But also it has an alternate where the rim lighting on it, half of it is blue and half of it is red, which is how the symbiote and Venom looked in the Spider-Man cartoon from the 80s,
Oh, that's
which
great.
is like
that's
it's
cute.
such a deep cut
That's pretty
that I'm like,
cool,
oh my
yeah.
god,
Yeah.
that's great. I
I
like
remember there was a thing that they were talking about regarding some of the suits that didn't make it back in because they had to, redo them for PS5 texture sizes and all that.
Yeah.
Where it was very much like, stuff like Underwear Peter we got rid of because that was one that it was that and Trash Bag where I think it was everyone used those and it was like our team worked so hard on suits that they asked to put in that also Underwear Peter wouldn't have worked because there's wings now.
That's true.
Right.
Just
But it was
skin
like-
flaps.
Just web,
Just a
flaps.
skin flap.
Like, hey,
Peter
MJ,
Griffin.
I tied webs to myself. I sewed them in. What do you think?
I want a divorce.
The web surgery stays on during sex.
That's okay. He's got a natural condom.
That's disgusting.
Foreskin Brothers.
Yeah, foreskin.
That's the real Foreskin Brothers. But they were talking about how, the team worked so hard on this stuff that we wanted them to be excited about it. And so we tried to take out some of the costumes that were super memey that we knew people would prioritize. Which I can understand.
I understand it too because
I
I
remember
really
in
liked
DLC.
them. I really liked the
That-
Daft Punk Miles costume that Coach
That was
was
cool.
talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Well, that's the Mysterio one, right?
No,
No. That's a
No.
different one.
The Daft Punk
he
one
had
with the
one where
jacket.
it was like LED displays. For
Oh,
eyes.
it
And
was
they
the
would blink
2099
sometimes.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love the
don't know.
Prowler costume. The Prowler costume for Miles is sick.
Yeah.
That was a good
Oh,
one.
those were
I,
cool.
I smiled when I saw the Forever costume that Miles had, the Wakanda one. That was nice.
Nice.
I mean, Nico memed on it, but the one when you complete the museum quest line with Miles,
I
where
actually
it
thought
looks-
the
No,
it
I
looks like-
loved it. I used
looks
it
like
through
it's
the whole
great.
game.
it's like a jazzy one. I love
Yeah,
that
you used
too.
it and
Yeah,
called
what
him
do
the
you-
Foreskin Brother.
Yeah, you
Well,
call
yeah,
them
it's just because
Foreskin
of
brothers.
it's just because of the fedora.
I respect the culture. I call them the Foreskin Brothers. Yeah, so I used the main costumes the whole game because I was recording. So I'm one of the weirdos where for my first playthrough, I just kind of rock the canon suits.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was
There
switching
was
back
a point in the main
most
story where I
missions.
did that.
I switched back to the default costume, like the white Spider-Man, Spider-Man with the white outline costume.
Yeah.
During the Venom sections, just to make sure that if I wanted to use that footage for my video, it would still remain pseudo spoiler free. And then at a point, I was like, I'm going to stop doing that because everyone knows Venom's in the game. So what's the point?
Everyone.
I
Everyone-
just realized what your picture is in the frame behind you, Kevin. I just now realized what it is.
Oh my god.
That's for the audio listeners. If you haven't watched my video, my review of Spider-Man, I made a thumbnail.
God.
So they don't have selfie mode in this game's photo mode anymore. What they have is regular photo mode, but they added the green screen feature from Rift Apart. So they have a green screen background. So I took a picture of Miles doing the guy sitting at grave doing the peace sign, but he's doing the web sign, the rock web thing. I took that in a green screen and added it to Peter standing in front of Uncle Ben's grave because because every time I've played Spider-Man 1 or Miles or 2, there's a picture of Ben's grave somewhere. When I got the Platinum Trophy for Spider-Man Remastered, you just had to re-upload your file from the PS4 game and transfer it to PS5. I made a save file on Spider-Man PS4 standing in front of Uncle Ben's grave so that the Platinum Trophy was him doing the fucking the peace sign in front of his uncle's grave. And so that's my Platinum Trophy picture. So behind me in my rotating picture frame is Uncle Ben's grave.
Incredible.
That's so good.
That's
been there the
so
whole time.
good, dude. Yeah, nice.
But yeah, I used the canon costume. I did appreciate that they added the Spider-Man PS4 costume version of the costume where it's like orange. Because I know people hated that costume when they first showed it off. I've always liked the Insomniac costume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much Spider-Man PS4 was color graded to be orange until I saw it in this game. I knew people complained that it wasn't super blue, but I was always a color grading thing.
It's not the right
I'll
shade
be
of
totally
purple.
honest. When I saw it in the menu, I thought it was supposed to look like that because it was drenched in sand after the first fight.
Oh, that would have been
like
cool
I
too.
thought it was
Yeah.
supposed to look like that, and then I realized after the fact, oh yeah, I guess it was kind of orange.
Yeah, it was just the way that they graded the whole game, and that this one was like much bluer. I was like, oh, cool. Or much redder, rather, not bluer.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's more classic Spider-Man. But they made their mark, and now they can go back to stuff that works because now people aren't going to bitch and ask them about, can you make it like the old stuff?
Why does his face look different?
Yeah. Oh my god.
I don't mind Minecraft, Pete. I don't mind Minecraft.
No. We were talking about it yesterday. How Spider-Man PS4 model that looks like 40-year-old Andrew Garfield doesn't really fit anymore.
Yeah.
Looks
No,
like a
mine-
little
go back.
Goblin.
Minecraft Pete was a good
Especially when
transition.
Harry looks like that guy's that face actor. Like Harry
Yeah.
looks like a fucking goblin. Like
Yeah. True.
straight up.
True.
MJ's got different too, but I think that just might be her getting older. In the
No,
No,
I
they-
think
they
I
changed
think
her
that
face
she
model.
looks. I think that she looks pretty similar. It's just that her hair makes it look whiter.
I
That's how
actually,
thought.
I actually thought. Well, I really liked MJ's model. Let me preface this with that because I'm about to make a joke that I think is funny and only I think is funny. I think
I
she
called her
looked,
the foreskin sister.
Yeah, I call her the foreskin sister because she's on the team. No, I thought she kind of reminded me of Marguerite Baker from Resident Evil 7, just a little bit.
What?
I was like, that
Just
one's
a
for you.
little bit. Just a little bit. People
one's
who
for you.
know. People who know.
Can I just say that I really liked J. Jonah Jameson being in the beginning of this game as well? Like
Yes.
he was in the beginning of Miles
Yes.
Morales.
It was
Yeah.
nice to see him have physical form again. I
Yeah.
wish he was in the
His
game
model
more.
looked really weird.
You can't go
There's
back
something
to
about his
listen
face.
to the old. Yeah, he was definitely like a not prioritized model for one, but you can't go back to listen to the podcast in this game either. That's a weird omission that was in one.
Yeah. Because they have the
Nice.
data
I
capture.
I didn't know you
too.
could do that in one.
Yeah, in one you could go back and listen. Once you beat the game, there was a whole section of the collection page, which was every J. Jonah Jameson podcast.
Yeah.
And you can't do that in this game, nor can you listen to the Mysterio logs or any other audio stuff.
No, Mysterio logs you can because those
You can.
Yeah, you
no,
can.
let me finish my thought.
Okay.
You can't listen to them unless you are in the pause menu.
Oh,
I
okay.
hate
yeah.
when games do that. That's my
'Cause
one big pet peeve.
They don't play
where-
them when they get them.
Well, they don't play them when you get them, but also every fucking game should just have it where you play an audio log and then you can unpause and it continues to play. BioShock did that fucking 16 years ago. You could do it. It's not hard. Fix it.
Yeah.
It's such a small thing, I know, but come
It's
on,
just
you guys
annoying.
made the PS5. You know better.
It's one of those things too where I didn't even bother listening to him because I didn't want to stop and listen to it.
Yeah, I don't want to sit there for 10 minutes and listen to this whole thing about how Mysterio was fucking kidnapped by these two random coworkers or whatever.
And he looks like Stefan.
He does look like Stefan.
He does.
He looks eerily like Stefan, and like
does
talks
look
like
like
him a little bit too.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a little upsetting.
I didn't realize that until I saw him post about it on Twitter. I was like, oh my god. it does
there
look
was
like
there was a
Stefan.
bit of like I can't put my finger on who he looks like. I saw that as
Yeah.
Stefan.
Well,
Yeah.
you guys just told it to me just now, and it took me a second to process. But you're absolutely right.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
put a fedora on him and you become one of the foreskin.
Yo, foreskin
The
bro.
Foreskin Brothers.
Sorry, Stefan.
Sorry, Stefan.
He's part of the
Oh,
team.
Nico did it, not me.
Fedoras do not indicate foreskin. I know.
That's where we're going to call the podcast for today, I think.
Final
Thank you
question.
for tuning in. Yes.
Is this our favorite Spider-Man game? I say yes.
Yes.
So far, yeah.
Justin, shut the fuck up. Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 for PS2.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, I see.
Until
Trash
they
here.
put Adam Sandler in, I don't care.
Yeah, until they put Adam Sandler.
No,
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I mean-
I think so. It's hard to say it's not. I mean,
Of the Insomniac ones, I think it's the best by default.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the seeing Chris go back reminded me how much it's like, man, those games were really, really good, but man.
I would implore anyone who's hot off Spider-Man 2 and thinking a lot about Spider-Man 1 to actually just go ahead and play the story, at least for like, you know, a few hours, and just kind of remember what exactly that game is like, because it's very good. But once you've had this, it almost makes the first game feel worse right after
Yeah.
it.
How
It's
much
interesting.
Peter does not interact with his voicemail?
Yeah.
That was
to be fair.
bothering me. I know
Same.
the
To be
point.
fair.
The point is that he's busy with all this other stuff while Otto's like descending, you know, into villainy or
And
embracing.
he doesn't catch it.
Yeah. And I think that's valid, but I just like Otto so much in that first game that I kind of wish there was like one more big scene of those two, but here nor
Well,
there.
and especially while we're talking about it, like Miles kind of has that in this game with Peter, where as soon as
Yes.
Peter has his new friend, like Miles is like, "Where the why is Peter not talking to me anymore?" And it's Peter's doing the same thing that he did in
Yeah.
the first game. He's falling back into that habit, but it's one of those things where I don't know if there's things that run up on time, or if there's things that, you know, obviously get cut along the way. But it was like stuff like that draws a thematic parallel, but I don't think they actually ever intended it to, or they didn't think to address that directly, which not that it needs to be, not everything needs to be spelled out. But then like same with Miles's lesson never gets fully said out loud. Miles's lesson of I need to be able to juggle being Spider-Man and being Miles Morales, the thing that Peter is trying to drill into him, they don't really ever address that. There's no like eureka moment of, oh, it is okay if I do both. And I think that was important, unless that's the plot of Spider-Man 3, where Miles is like, I don't know, Haley breaks up with him or something because he's not giving her time because he's too busy doing Spider-Man at school.
Not enough puppies.
Not enough uppies. Whatever the case, like there's a couple things like that Insomniac's games still kind of struggle with as they get into, not that they're not AAA developers, but they get into this sweeping AAA storytelling style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even Ratchet Ripped Apart had that issue here and there, where that one at least had the issue of they rewrote the whole ass game in like 6 months. But you know, it's interesting to see that. Like I want to see them hit on all cylinders, because this is their now highest rated game they've ever made. It's tied with the 2 Ratchet and Clank games that are both up there. So it'd be really nice to see them slam through that glass ceiling they've had for so long of being that B+ developer into, oh wait, this game could and should be game of the year instead of being the bridesmaid. And there's just those small things that they haven't done yet.
Agree.
That's my final thought.
Yeah. Game good. Give me more.
I
please.
like it.
Give me uppies.
Puppies.
Uppies.
Thank you everyone who's tuned in to today's episode, both on the audio realm and in the video realm, as my dog is whining behind me somewhere. Follow us over at crub.org for the audio versions of the podcast on every platform you want, and some you don't. Hit the like button if you haven't already, or else we don't like you. And make sure to subscribe on the YouTube, because we would like to get to 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully by the end of 2023, we're inching closer and closer every single day. So join us there. And
If
join
we
us
have
on
5,000 subscribers, I'm making Nico watch Spider-Man 3.
that's
Again?
4,000 more than we were asking
Yeah,
for, but we'll do a Spider-Man 3 watch along podcast. We'll even put the video on screen so we get copyright claimed.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
we
that's a
could
good
just
idea.
we could just drop it as like a watch along soundtrack,
Yeah,
like
just
a
sync your-
commentary track.
So we'll do that at 5,000 subscribers, but at 1,000 subscribers, we get to eat. So thank you for helping us get there. Patreon.com/Crub if you want to join the Patreon, get access to a bunch of bonus content that we have rolled out essentially every week since it launched. Endless amounts of bonus content already, and there's only more that's ever coming to it. Yeah. We'll see you soon for the next episode of the Crubcast. Anyone else have anything else they want to say?
Go to x.com/the Foreskin Brothers and follow us.
Go to crub.org/foreskin brothers. That'll be the new URL.
Play
I'm not making that-
play
I'm not making
Spider-Man
that.
2. Play
Play the
Spider-Man
game. Bye.
Bye.
Tortellini.